John here. Here's lick of the day number 171. It's a Paul Gilbert-inspired picking run. As usual, I'm going to play it once slowly and then break it down. During the breakdown, I'm going to share some practice advice you can apply to this thing and pretty much anything else you're practicing. If you want the tabs, you have a link in the description below. All right, let's start here on the 12th fret of the low E string. Right, so this one is based on the D minor scale, D Aeolian. So basically 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. You have a link to the backing track in the description below as well. Also, I call this Paul Gilbert-Inspired because it's inspired by his earlier Razor X days, so not so much the Mr. Big days. But for this aggressive picking approach, 3 notes per string, that's the guy to check out if you haven't done that before. So Razor X, early Razor X, it's really cool stuff. And we start here with this shape, so 12, 13, 15, 12, 13, 15 on E and A, and then we have 12, 14, 15 on D and G. And within these notes, I'm going to be playing this sequence. I go up a 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then up one more note to the 12th fret here, and then I play another group of 6. So, starting with a downstroke, all alternate picking. And then from here, I go up another 6. And then I shift up on the same string. And you want to minimize any type of sliding here, so it's a position shift, not a slide. And what can help here if you have issues with this is to just work on that. Or even go back and forth and focus on the quick transitions here. So I'm not talking about sitting like that, but the actual movement from note to note is quick. And that will do two things. It will help you get used to moving quickly from note to note, which is obviously going to be very handy when you raise the tempo. But also doing this, you're going to basically minimize any type of sliding sound. So you know, it might feel weird to just sit and work on this. It's actually a really helpful exercise to get used to this type of shifting. And also, you know, if you work on this shifting and you do this kind of thing, that's great too, but as you can see here, you only get to shift every 6 notes, whereas here you do way more reps in the same period of time, so it's a bit more efficient. All right, so what I did after the shift here, I just go down a group of 6, and this is the same notes as the one we ascended before, so just an octave higher. So from the beginning, then we're going to shift up once more to the 15th fret, and now we're going to have 15, 17, 19 on D and G. That's on ascending 6, and then we're going to do another ascending 6 here, where we have 17, 18, 20 on B and E. And then you shift up again to the root. So the trickiest part is probably this, because you're crossing 4 strings. And I found that anytime you have to cross over 2 strings, most people can handle, you know, going between 2 strings like that. But when you add the 3rd string, you kind of have to move your pick hand a bit, or if you don't move it, you're gonna get a bit of a bigger angle in the picks. It's gonna feel different and sound different. So usually that's where people get into trouble. So a good thing to do here, practice-wise, is to work on just that. So you go. So that's why actually this first phrase is a pretty good one, because you do that in the phrase itself. So you just go up. That's a great thing to repeat over and over again. Move it up and down in half steps, like I've talked about a million times before, for a reason, because it really works. All right, so after we reach the top here, we're basically done with the lick itself, but then I just added this phrase, which is basically, if you look at the notes here, you actually get a D minor ninth arpeggio, because you have the flat 7, 5, flat 3, 2, which is the same as the ninth, and then the root and the flat 7. And I slide into that note, pull off, and then pick, shift down to the 5th here of the key, so the A note on the 14th fret, and then I just go up like that, so, and end on the 5th here as well. So that's just like a tag at the end here, so I'm not just doing a pick and run and stop there. So, but this works as a lick in its own right, I feel, so it's probably a better sounding lick than the first thing, and also easier to play. So again, the whole thing from the beginning. So if you have any issues with this stuff, again, and I mentioned this a few videos in a row now, but if you find that, oh, this is really, it's really hard to do all this picking stuff, don't just work on this picking lick. Do yourself a favor and like, okay, I really like this sound. I want to get this sound down, and then you need to make room for that in your practice schedule. And that's just the way it is, right? So, and initially for this type of technique, it takes a while, and it takes quite a while to get going with it. So my suggestion here is to build a practice schedule. I mean, I have things for sale, but you can build your own practice schedule, but just make a schedule and stick to that, and don't change it for at least stick to it at least a month. I would say like 6 to 8 weeks. Just do the same thing, because there's no way you're gonna be, assuming you don't pick something really stupid to practice that you already can play very comfortably, there's no way you're not gonna improve by doing that. And also there's no way you're gonna be too good at any of the things that you practice for 6 to 8 weeks. Because I think a big problem is that people tend to put together something and then they do that for 2 weeks and then like, I'm not John Petrucci or Paul Gilbert yet, so this shit isn't working. So they stop doing it and they move on to something else. And you never let things settle. You never let things become a routine. And it's boring. It's boring as shit to do this stuff. So don't feel bad if you sit there and be like, oh my god, this is so boring. But what's not boring is to have the technique to play what you want, right? So, and you can mitigate this boring stuff by, watching Netflix or whatever, as long as you do things in the correct way, meaning you do correct reps and you don't do anything to hurt yourself. So that's something you need to take care of yourself, obviously. But just get the reps in, get all the time in that you need, because that's the way forward. And again, don't change things up. Stick with something for a while. And I can't stress that enough, because it's so easy to just look at, from day to day, and you're trying to look for progress and you don't see any progress, because it's not going to happen that fast. It's going to basically, you keep practicing, and then before you know it, you're just going to be like, holy shit, did I play that? You actually managed to, you just leveled up, right? So kind of, if you've ever played a role-playing game, it's kind of like, imagine playing Skyrim or whatever, best game ever, by the way, playing Skyrim, and you keep playing the game and you level up, but you don't see any progress. You don't get any progress until you get to level 10, and then you get all the shit right away, but you don't see any progress from 1 to 10. That's pretty much how it is to play guitar sometimes. We're like, you practice and practice, you don't see any progress, and then all of a sudden you're like leveled up several levels all of a sudden, but you couldn't see that gradual progress. So the progress is going to be there if you practice correctly, but you shouldn't look for it every day. That's my point. Very long-winded point here. But if you sit there and just do the work and then forget about it, don't even care. The worst thing you can do is practice your technique routine, whether it's picking or whatever, and then trying to see like, am I better now? Because that's not how we learn. You won't get better in the same day. You might get more warmed up so you can play certain things, but you're not going to be better in the same day. So our bodies need sleep to get that together. So it's pointless trying to look for improvement like that. And also there's going to be points where it feels like everything is crap all of a sudden. Like it feels like just doesn't feel right. But if you've done your practice correctly, then you can be certain that that's part of the sort of your brain getting everything together. And if you haven't practiced, well, what can you expect, right? Then you might actually have regressed in your playing. But if you've been practicing, but all of a sudden you have a few days where it just feels a bit weird and not very good when you play, then that's a natural thing. So you just need to get used to that and not freak out and just keep going. And that's why I feel it's important to be detached when you practice stuff. So just do your work. Don't even look for improvement. Do your work, play something for fun, and then get on with your day. That's it. And if you do that enough days in a row, it's bound to happen. It's bound to, you're gonna level up before you know it. But if you keep looking for improvement, you're gonna be really frustrated, and you're probably gonna psych yourself out, and you're gonna try other things that, you just keep jumping between different things all the time, or like, oh, maybe I should change my pick grip, or maybe I should do this or that. No, you just need to practice. If you practice correctly, meaning you do good reps, you don't do anything weird, you will get better with time. And that's how we progress on anything, really. But I think it's really important to understand that, so you don't sit there and like expect to see this massive improvement in a couple of days. So, really long rant here, but if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe and all that stuff, and see you in the next one.